All right, 20 minutes after 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. The state is on fire.
Yep.
There's fires everywhere. I don't know if you're having a reaction to the smoke. I haven't even detected it yet, but we've been spared, I think, in our community. If you have allergies, I don't know that smoke triggers them or not, but Dr. Clifford W. Bassett is on the phone. Dr. Bassett is the founder and medical director of Allergy and Asthma Care of New York. He's a contributor to the big ones, the Today Show, Good Morning America, CBS This Morning, NPR, the New York Times. You get the picture. And he's got a book. It's called The New Allergy Solution, Supercharge Resistance / Medication, Stop Suffering, Fast, Long-Lasting Relief. We're all ears on this one, Doctor. Good morning. Thank you for being on the air with us.
Good morning.
What an honor. Thank you.
I see your pollen counts already moderate in your area. A lot of oak, grass, bayberry. People that are sufferers are suffering. And the key for the book is what I talk about is proactive steps to protect against common allergens. And my motto is your life need no longer be ruled by allergy, and there's always a solution. So what we're looking at is 1/3 of us have allergies, whether it be adults or children, and there's so many reasons. No 100% certain answer, but a lot of theories. And the key is to get tested, get evaluated, find out what your triggers are, and then we can do a cost-effective, tailored approach, and not just neutralizing the bad, but promoting the good, and looking at you and Mother Nature and how it all fits together. And that's why I wrote the book, is to provide information about great, impactful treatments, as well as complementary solutions as well. And in some cases, we're looking to prevent symptoms. That's the holy grail. But a lot of times I just do a lot of explaining for people. You know, they're confused between an allergy and a cold, or a food allergy and some type of digestive problems.
Right.
So I think, you know, what we're trying to do in the allergy community is educate and help people, empower them to develop an allergy plan or an allergy action plan, especially if they're, you know, people that have allergies in the family. And the joke is that if you have, the best way to prevent allergies is to choose your parents wisely.
I have a question for you. Do triggers sometimes have accomplices? In other words, and I want you to correct anything I'm saying wrong, even in my question, but if a trigger is, let's say, pollen, does it have an accomplice? In other words, if pollen gets me to have an allergy and chocolate is an accomplice, I'm just pulling a substance at random. If I stop eating chocolate during pollen season, do I better my chances of not being affected by it?
Well, you're talking about something that's very interesting, and you're very insightful, because we do know from studies that air pollution has an impact with pollen, and there's sometimes a chemical or synergistic effect to create a double whammy. And we know a lot of studies out in California with children who live near highways are exposed to pollution, but they're also exposed to pollen. And so there's a very important interface. And we do know that air pollution, air quality, by the way, indoor air may often be in a home worse than outdoor air. So in my practice, I'm very interested in traditional approaches, but I also look at natural or complementary approaches, and there are actually plants that help clean the air, that scrub the air from air pollutants.
Oh,
snake
really?
plant, spider, Boston fern, English ivy, and a variety of things. So, you know, we're very interested in mastering the environment if we can. Probably as humans we can't, but we can do a better job in managing things, particularly if you're one of the millions of people with allergies, and a variety of allergies are on the rise, and that's why I wrote the book, is to try and improve quality of life, educate people, and get people ready for their visit with an allergist, and understand the importance of getting tested and to evaluate your symptoms, and really vanquish allergy symptoms whenever possible.
It's really interesting. We live in Florida, and it's a rural area, pretty much. I mean, those who live here don't think it is, but it is, especially compared to like Philadelphia, New York, etc. But a lot of people will move here and say it's so much easier. My allergies are not as bad here as they were up north, and I will always think, well, wait a minute, we got lots of flowers here, lots of pollen. How is it possible?
Yeah.
And so you kind of just answered my question. Maybe the pollution and the pollen work together, and that's you know, part of the problem. I'm just wondering. I don't know. I'm just doing a radio show, and I wonder things.
Right. Well, we're not 100% certain how it all works together. I can say one good thing about it is, as you get older, many people do outgrow their allergies, which is probably the only benefit of aging.
Okay.
However, in my practice, I see people at all ages for the very first time coming into the office. And now we're seeing a lot of seasonal asthma, where people have allergies and they're exposed to higher levels of pollen because of this climate change, increasing carbon dioxide, greenhouse gases. And as a result of that, it tells certain plants to produce more pollen, a lot more pollen. And so the key is understanding the difference between allergies and other conditions. If you have itchiness of the eyes, nose, and throat, you're probably dealing with an allergy, a seasonal or indoor allergy, not so much a cold or a sinus problem. So the key is to understand the basics, see an allergist when you're suffering, and especially if you have things like a child with a reaction to foods, or you suspect there may be a food allergy. There's a lot of proactive approaches we could do now, early introduction of certain high-risk foods, and all kinds of things, in terms of forestall and modify kids with eczema and other types of skin conditions that are on the rise. Even when women, before they conceive, there are things we can do and discuss in terms of understanding how to modify the immune system whenever it's possible. And there's more we learn every day. We do know already, like diet is very important. Western diet, having enough Mediterranean-type fresh fruits and vegetables. That means fish oils. All of these things have an impact on our health. And stress as well. I understand in my practice we have what we call a whole-bodied approach. We look at stress, we look at anxiety, and how it interacts with the immune system. And that's why I wrote the book, because it's a total solution, and that's what I really like to instill is these symptoms can be managed, and in some cases they can be prevented. And that's the key, whether you have nut or gluten or food intolerance or a metal allergy or anything else that can affect you. We have millions of us that are not being managed or identified as allergy sufferers, and we can do a better job.
Is too much medication bad for you? Because sometimes, people will go to their doctors and they want a pill and they feel that's going to clear it up.
My late nanny, who lived into her late 90s, used to say, Clifford, too much of anything, TOO, is no good. Too much water, too much this, too much that. You have to have the right balance. And I think what we're looking at is how to navigate the drugstores, the over-the-counter remedies, nasal saline, non-medical approaches. In my practice, we also utilize recommendations for meditation, relaxation therapy, acupuncture, yoga, exercise. These are things that reduce stress, reduce anxiety, and in some cases have been shown to correlate with better breathing and asthma in studies here and there. But the bottom line is it really depends what your needs are. And if you have a pattern, and every season you have suffering, and you're bringing out the tissues and going through boxes and boxes, take a step back, learn and see if you're a candidate for allergy sublingual therapy or injections or other things to try and knock out the problem and work with your immune system to improve life and develop a tolerance to these things. Again, whether it be seasonal allergies, indoor allergies, in many areas they're on the rise. The good news is I know you're in a relatively more rural area. Farm environments and rural areas with exposure to animals is actually may confer a protective effect, and that's actually a benefit. And that may be some reasons why Larry mentioned they may be seeing, a less perceived notion that there are people suffering. There's always allergy patients suffering, but there may be some nuances and different, and that may be one of them is the exposure to a rural community type setting is making the immune system healthier early on in life and perhaps reducing the likelihood of becoming an allergic individual.
The book is called The New Allergy Solution. It's written by our guest, Dr. Clifford W. Bassett, and I have a copy of the book right here if you want the copy that was sent to me. Supercharge Resistance / Medication Stop Suffering. Call me if you want the one that was sent here. The rest of us will have to go buy it. Doctor, before we say goodbye, do you have a website?
Yes, we do. AllergyReliefNYC.com. It's our educational website. Dispel myths, try and get some great information. Again, the key is not just to neutralize bad information, but promote the good. And that's what I'm trying to do in the book and share with people all over the country, is to develop a better way to prevent and manage your allergies this year.
Very good. Allergy Relief NYC, as in New York City. Thank you, Dr. Bassett. Thank you for being on the air with us today.
Thanks for having me.
All right, we'll be right back.